Biology paper 2 for the year 2022, 9th August, 5090, paper 2, 80 marks. Allow me to get to question 1. In this part, I'm just going to do section A and I'll do section B later on. So section A should answer questions for the 4 marks. The figure shows cell division in animals. You've got this cell, zygote, divides to form A and B, then A becomes a muscle, then B becomes just new cells. They have not specified what kind of cells. Question 1a, state the characteristic of living organism being demonstrated in figure 1. Reproduction. This is cell reproduction, so this is actually reproduction. Or you can even say growth, but it's reproduction because the cells are shown to be separate. One cell becomes 2 cells, just like that. So from 1, the resulting are 3. Then the second part there is A2, is explain what has happened to cell A. It has undergone specialization. You can say cell specialization or just specialization. So cell A has become a muscle cell. It has undergone specialization. B there, explain how the zygote in the figure can result into the formation of an organism through cell division. It divides, I don't know if this is a spelling for divides. It divides into multiple cells which later specialize to form different types of tissue. All organs are actually made of tissue. So the moment you say tissue, it spreads. So it divides into multiple cells which later specialize to form different types of tissue. And these tissue are actually found in organs. Organs are made up of tissue. And these organs are part of systems. Systems are made of organs which are made up of tissue. And eventually systems make up a complete organism. So I don't know if I was supposed to add a little bit more flesh there, but that's what I would maybe put in for now. C. Describe 2 life processes of living organisms and state the role of enzymes in the 2 processes. Not characteristics, but processes. So my first one is respiration is a process, photosynthesis is the process, and even nutrition is a process. Okay, so respiration, which is the breakdown of sugar to yield energy. Enzymes aid in bond breaking. Okay, respiration is more of a digestive kind of process. Photosynthesis, the build of large complex organic molecules. Enzymes aid in bond formation. Okay, this is catabolism, this is anabolism. Catabolic kind of enzymes, anabolic kind of synthetic kind of enzymes. So these are the 2 processes, and these are ways in which enzymes are used up. Therefore, in 1, digestive, in 2, synthetic. Question 2 there, the figure shows the transfer section of a leaf. You've got X, Y, Q there, then R, carbon dioxide out, water vapor out, CO2 in, H2O out. Identify the tissue X, Y, and Q. X, that's the cuticle layer, palisade layer, this is the vascular bundle. Up here, that's your xylem, the phloem, this is your spongy mesophyll. These are your guard cells, this is your stomata, and this is the lower epidermis. You can call this a cuticle layer or upper epidermis. So X, let me just do this to the camera. X, that's your cuticle layer or upper epidermis if you like. Y is the palisade layer, very rich in chloroplast or chlorophyll and regular in shape, well packed to maximize on the capturing of light. Then phloem vessel. This is your phloem vessel, just like this one or that one. Then 2. Tissue X and Y are tested for starch. Which of the 2 tissues would show the presence of high concentration of starch? Tissue Y. Okay, this is tissue Y and tissue X. Look at this, a lot of chloroplasts. Chloroplasts contain chlorophyll which manufacture sugar, which is later converted to starch. So that's the reason why it would be having high concentrations of starch. Number 3, give an explanation for the answer given in A1, in A2. Pallid cells are rich in chloroplasts which make starch by photosynthesis. B1, name the cell labeled R. That is your guard cell. The cell labeled R is your guard cell. That's our R right there. That's your guard cell. Which features does R have in common with tissue X and Y that enables it to perform its function? Let's look at this again. This is this. Which features does R have which are the same in common with this and that enable it to perform its function? I couldn't really answer this very right because quite right, this one has got chloroplast just like Y, It has got a vacuum just like both of them. And of course, all plant cells have got cell walls, but I could only put a vacuum. I wanted to say under chloroplast, but they have said which features does cell R have in common with tissues X and Y? Meaning, what does this tissue have in common with X and Y? I couldn't really see whether they mean X and Y together, something that these two have in common that is in common with R. So the vacuum is a major thing I thought of there, because the reduction in size and increase in size of the vacuum enables gut cells to perform, look at this word here, perform their functions. So I could only think of the vacuum because the vacuum is found here, and even here the vacuum is found. You can figure that one out, but that's my answer right there. Number J, figure 3 represents bones of the forelimb or the arm of a mammal. You can even tell, so this is your radius, ulna, this is your, of course, your joint, and this is your humerus. Which letters represent the following structures? Radius, that's H, ulna, that's K, humerus, that's I. Identify the type of joint found at J, that's your hinge joint. Give a reason for your answer: because it only moves in one plane. It doesn't go all the way to this side. It can only be straight, then go back, then straight, it only moves in one plane. Name 2 disorders of the joint at J. Arthritis is what I could think of. It comes in many forms like gout, and other forms of, it comes in 1 or 2 forms, but I could only write arthritis. And then bone dislocation, those are disorders that can take place at this joint here. So arthritis and bone dislocation. You can give examples of arthritis or types of arthritis, but I could only write arthritis. D, explain why a bone is considered to be a living tissue. Bone is considered to be living because it has cells within it that either build or break down bone crystal. Bone responds to tension and stress. Okay, that is why it is regarded to be living, while enamel in our teeth is not living. Figure 4 shows a schematic diagram indicating the movement of water in a plant from the roots to the leaves. That's our figure there, from the roots up there up to the leaves. Already I can tell that this is our stomata. This is our xylem vessel. These are just cells within the root, and this is the root hair cell. The xylem vessel, yeah, it's actually labeled there. Name the part labeled P, root hair cell, not hair root cell, but root hair cell. Identify substance O, that is actually water vapor. Water vapor. Because we're talking about the phloem, we cannot say carbon dioxide or oxygen, because right now we're talking about the xylem. Okay, what's the function of the xylem and the like. So the only thing can relate to this kind of arrangement here is water vapor. So our answer there at O is water vapor. What name is given to the space through which substances all come out of the leaf? Stomata. Although I've seen some books which call them stomates, but that's stomata. State the terms used to refer to the process responsible for the movement of water at L and M. Let's take a look at L and M. L, that's osmosis. M, transpiration pool. Here, water crosses the membranes by osmosis. But up here, this is a hollow, narrow tube. A hollow, narrow tube. This is the transpiration pool. So my answers there were osmosis and transpiration pool. Number C, give 2 reasons why it is beneficial for a plant to lose water at point O or through the stomates. Firstly, my answer was to cool itself. Okay, it's important because the plant gets to cool itself as it loses water in its leaves. Number 2, to contribute to the water vapor in air. In other words, you can say to contribute to humidity. That's very, very important. Number D, apart from the xylem vessel, name another vessel found in the stem used to transport. The phloem vessel. The phloem vessel. Question 5, define each of the following terms. Gene, unit of heredity. You can also define it as portion of a chromosome that codes for a specific protein. Portion of a chromosome that codes for a specific protein. 2. Genotype, that is the genetic makeup of an organism. The genetic makeup of an organism. If they say phenotype, then they mean the physical appearance of that given organism, but genotype is the genetic makeup of an organism. B. A family of rats. Whoa, mom, dad, children of rats. Okay, lives in Lusaka, and the recessive allele G. Okay, in a family of rats, the recessive allele given the letter D causes stunted growth if it occurs in homozygous animal. If it occurs in a homozygous animal, use a genetic diagram to predict the offspring produced if two hetero means different, rats were mated. So they have given us this letter to represent recessiveness. Therefore, when these are two of them like here, then the animal is going to be stunted in growth. Now they are asking us to say, use a genetic diagram to predict the offspring produced by two heterozygous rats. So if these two heterozygous rats do bad things to have children and they're said to be hetero, it means their nature is like this. They're not stunted in growth. They're not homozygous. They are hetero, meaning they are of this nature. You use capital letters for dominance, small letters for recessiveness. So you cross these. When you cross, you simply D and D gives you double D, capital letters, which is homozygous dominant. It will be tall or it will grow. Then D and this small d, it will give you heterozygous. It will still be grown. It will still grow. Then this D and this capital D will give us this. I write the capital first because it's dominant. It will grow. Then this small letter d and this small letter d will give us this. This one will be stunted. 1/3 or maybe 1/4, 1/2 of all the offsprings are likely to be stunted in growth. So you first of all write them like this, then you include your lines. Okay, you include your lines. So I'll say D goes with this D here. Sometimes if you begin with the lines, you can easily confuse yourself. D, then with this D here. I don't say this D and this D will simply have something like this. Okay, then this D and that D will simply be. So it's easier when you first of all cross them like you do when you're doing matrices, when you're matching those sets. Yeah, so it's easier like that. The domain and the range kind of crossing. So that would be our genetic diagram. Number of marks, 5 people, 5. That's a lot of marks. So know these things. My last question in this paper, in this section, is explain one named cause of genetic variation. So you name it, then you explain it. Explain one, then in bold letters, named cause of genetic variation. Why are there differences in the genetic makeup of organisms, even of those of the same family? So crossing over is what I picked on. Actually, I've picked on random fertilization, okay, where you cannot, out of maybe 4, 5 billion, million, 40 million sperm cells, only one gets fertilized the egg. That's by random, okay, randomly. So meaning that also brings about a wide variety of possibilities and probabilities. So I could only pick this one. Crossing over, the exchange of genes during meiosis 1 in gamete formation or during gamete formation. Explain one named cause of genetic variation. So I name it, then I explain it. In meiosis 1, before the chromosomes or sister chromatids separate, that is before they separate in meiosis 2, they exchange portions of themselves. Okay, they exchange portions of themselves, and eventually this brings about the reshuffle of genes. Okay, and the resulting gametes, which are usually 4, will completely be different in their compositions. So my answer is this one here. So I end here for this section. I'll see you in the next videos. For now, I say bye-bye. I'll see you in the next videos as we try to make this science simple as much as possible in these simple ways. Bye-bye for now.